5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to our first time podcast.
He didn't want to say it was our first.
Hello everybody, welcome to our podcast. I'm Vlad. This is my friend. What is your name? Who are you?
My name is Yegor.
Yegor. What is your full name?
Егор Шишов Александрович.
My name is Sergin Vladislav Alexandrovich. Как дела? Спокойной ночи, доброе утро, до свидания. Yeah, where are you from, Yegor?
I'm from Ukraine.
Ukraine.
My dad was born in Russia, but I was born in Ukraine.
Oh, I have some relatives in Ukraine, in Kiev.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about the... because I'm from Russia.
Welcome,
from Russia.
yeah.
Right.
That's a good place.
And actually, Russia and Ukraine have some interesting history.
You want to fight now or maybe later?
Let's do it later.
Okay.
Next time we will invite some American friends to talk about that.
But they will fight for me. Come on.
But for you. Yeah. Actually, Yegor and me are entertainers. We live in China for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Right?
I've been living in China for 10 years.
For 10 years.
Come on. What about you?
8 years. I live here for 8 years.
Yeah, it's
already.
a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of foreigners don't make it. They usually come here, stay for 3-4 years.
Right.
And then because of different situations and problems, they leave. Yeah.
But which reason let you come here?
You know, I think it's the same reason for many people who come here. It's for studies.
Studies?
Yeah, back in the day, 10 years ago, it was exchange program with Ukrainian university and Chinese university. It was really cool to leave your own culture. I've never been abroad, and then I went to this extraordinary Chinese, everything is weird culture. So
from which part of Ukraine you are?
I'm from the eastern part.
Eastern part.
I'm from a very Soviet city, Lugansk.
Because
how did you come to China?
I came here for studying my Chinese major, like Chinese language. Then I started my master's degree in the northeast of China, in one university called Dufy.
What?
Dufy. D-U.
It sounds like in a French movie. Dufy. How do you say it in Chinese?
东北财经大学.
Oh, that sounds better.
Yes.
Okay. Why did you take your master's in China? Because you could go to other countries.
Because I didn't have opportunity to come to another place.
That's not true.
No, the true story was I always was interested in different things, interesting things, philosophy, psychology, Chinese culture, Asian culture. I grew up and decided to come to China. That was my dream. Time I was graduating, I worked for a short time of time, and then I get some money from my job, like $500, and I took this $500 and I came to China. Yeah, to doing my master's. The luckiest thing was that I get a scholarship to do my master's here.
Use one sentence to describe what you liked about China when you just came.
What I liked about China is
One
hot
sentence.
pot.
No, really?
Yeah, right. I like to eat hot pot.
Okay.
We don't have it in Russia. Do you like it? I think you have to like it.
Hot pot is okay. Sometimes it's too spicy for me.
Oh.
I would say for me what was most amazing thing when I got to China was how I stood out just because I was a foreigner. We went to this really small town. It was in Jiangxi province. It only had 20 foreigners and half of them were Koreans. So we were like a celebrity in the town. Kids and everyone would want to take a picture with us, and they were like, "Oh, lao wai, like a foreigner." They would stop us and take pictures, and I thought it was so cool. I just decided to stay in China.
So you decided you stay here for 10 years already.
Yeah, and I did.
Yeah, and as I know, your wife is Chinese.
Yeah,
right?
you know
Right.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
We got married 2 years ago, but it was not when I was asked to stop and take a picture with a person I don't know. That thing kind of passed. No.
I came to China not by myself. I came also with my wife. Yeah, we got only $500 when we came here. Yeah, together.
Wow.
That was really difficult for us.
Was your wife supportive?
Of course, she was supportive. Because for us, that was also a really interesting opportunity for us. Before she came to China, she can't speak any Chinese. By that time, I already can speak some words. We came here, she was staying in Beijing for 1 year. I was staying in Dalian, and that Northeast University. So we were separated for 1 year.
Oh, she's cooler.
Then we get a scholarship to get her in my university. So since that time we stick together. Yeah, so that was kind of stressful for us.
Talking about stress, I remember when I just got to China, probably the most stressful thing in the beginning is food, because it was totally different. I wanted some borscht, I wanted some cheese, I wanted some...
Do you eat Russian food now or Ukrainian food now?
Rarely.
Do you usually go to Russian restaurants? Or?
No, I prefer Russian food. But I remember in the beginning it was the most stressful, thing.
Right.
But the second was the absence of friends and not being able to talk with people because you couldn't speak Chinese. Was it any different for you?
I think I still have the same situation now. 8 years passed, and I still have kind of, because I'm kind of introvert person. So it's really difficult to find really real friends here because we are foreigners here, and especially in Beijing, everybody is kind of foreigner for us because everybody comes here and goes.
It's a transitional place,
Yeah, it's transitional place, and nobody sticks here for a long time, maybe 3 years, 4 years. Even Chinese friends, everybody came here and they working for get some money here.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult for even Chinese people to stay here for a long time or get a Beijing registration,
Yeah. You remember when we were not able to talk to Chinese people and we kind of felt isolated. I remember I really wanted to quit and just go to Ukraine because nobody could understand me. I couldn't really talk.
Yes, I have
but you had wife at least. I was alone. Did that help you?
I cannot imagine if you stay here for like 1-2 years and you feel really alone. You came here by yourself.
Yeah.
Nobody was with you, right?
No.
And when you met your wife?
Only 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
On my 7th year in China.
7th year.
Yeah. So
I can't imagine it because I love Chinese culture, but I think when you stay here in 5 or 6 years, you starting feeling like antisocial sometimes. Everybody thinks your life is better. It's really difficult to be a foreigner here.
But what I feel like in China in the beginning, it excites you that many people, you want to take a picture with you, they're interested in the fact that you're a foreigner. But at some point you feel like all your relationships are shallow because they don't see you as a person. They just see you as a representative of, for example, Ukrainian culture.
Right.
So they always ask you, so what do you Ukrainians like to eat? And I'm like, well, you don't ask what I would like to eat. Why do you want to know about Ukrainians?
That is the problem.
We were talking about being a foreigner in China and how different it is. If you want to come to China, right, you really want to kind of get the language.
Right.
Because not many Chinese people would speak the English or other language, which is probably getting better. But how was it for you, learning Chinese and stuff?
I agree with you. If you live in China and you're planning to communicate, like not be antisocial, you have to speak Chinese.
So talking about Chinese, the hardest part is usually the characters and the tones.
Right.
Because we don't have the tones in our language.
Right.
And then the characters is a killer. Because I remember there actually is a rule to it. So there are 216 little parts that make up a character. We would have to memorize every single, for example, when you learn an English word, you learn the pronunciation and how to write it.
Right.
And it's pretty much very close. Yeah. Apple, A-P-P-L-E. There's a structure. But when you, for example, when you learn a word in Chinese, apple, 苹果, first you learn the pronunciation 苹果. Then you have to learn which tones is the second tone and the third one, 苹果. And then you have to learn 2 different characters. It's like 3 tasks for 1 word. The grammar is really simple.
There is no grammar in Chinese language.
There is grammar, but it's very simple. So when you meet a Chinese person, what's the first question they ask you? I'll give you some inspiration. I remember in Zhejiang, the second question the guy asked me, the taxi driver,
how much you earn?
How much you make? He was like, so how much you make? You probably make a lot. And I told him, I'm like, I make $1 million a day. And he was like, man, what are you doing, man? I'm like, I'm daydreaming.
Daydreaming, yeah.
And he was like, oh, daydreaming. Huh? But talking about weird questions in China, they always ask, when I tell them I'm from Ukraine, they ask me, they say, oh, so many pretty women from Ukraine. And I'm like, well, yeah. But, you know, after 40 years old, they all get fat.
The same thing, you know?
Oh, they say they get
usually.
fat as well?
No, they say, I'm trying to say that, like, I have
where did you get this thing?
Yes.
But, you know, before we came to China, I actually thought all Chinese knew Kung Fu. I was like, oh, they probably all know Kung Fu. They're going to kick me. But, and also pandas. I thought they would have pandas everywhere. But that's not the point.
Do you like Chinese Kung Fu?
Talking about crazy stuff that happened in China. I remember, you know, James Blunt. Oh, he's the greatest singer. I love him. He's a great guy. And I was translating for his crew, for his technician and stuff. But then he came to the stage, and I was right there on the stage with other musicians. And then he came to me, and I looked like a guy who was around. He was like, the speakers are not working. The monitors. He's like, what happened with monitors? Monitors, like the speakers that musicians can hear.
Right.
I was like, I saw him. I was like, oh, that's James Blunt. That was inside of me. I was like, yeah, everything is fine. They're trying to fix it. They figure out that the couple speakers were broken, but I'll help you out if you need anything else. And he was like, no, it's cool. And then he shook my hand, and I was like, oh. He was so cool. And I was thinking, like, back in Ukraine, just a normal guy, how in the world would I be able to meet these great people and go to these great places? And I think China is really became a cool platform to enjoy, to explore life. It's a really interesting story. I know it's bumpy sometimes, you know, learning the language, being rude without knowing. But in the end, you kind of find yourself in this really entertaining, cool.
Yeah, I have the same feeling. Like, I think China is kind of bridge between the West and East sometimes for us.
As a conclusion also, I would like to say that sometimes when you're too weird for your own country, for your own culture, coming to China is always playing safe, because you can be anything, and they will think, oh, well, he's a foreigner, he can do it. That's probably what they do in their own country. So you're really free to be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's an interesting thing in itself. Yeah. Also, if you have any questions about China, some weird questions, please leave a comment.
Right, and don't forget to subscribe, guys. Yeah, it's our podcast. I'm your host, Vlad.
And Yegor.
See you next time.